Hi, this is Dr. Kimberley Linert, and you're listening to Incredible Life Creator Podcast. My guest today is Assia. Assia is a certified coach from Paris, France, and helps busy entrepreneurs become more productive by overcoming procrastination. She believes that every journey starts from within and works with her clients on identifying their zone of genius, designing a world class communication, and creating strategic plans to make them stand out. She is committed to bring the best out of you. Welcome to the podcast, Assia.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored.
Yes, and you're my first guest from Paris, so very excited there. That's on my bucket list to come
Yeah,
there and see the art. So hopefully I get there one day.
sure. Hopefully very soon.
Thank you. Well, yeah, with everything going on, we'll see. But anyways, just so people can get to know you, tell us a little bit about you, where you started out, and how you got to be doing what you're doing today as a coach.
It took me years. First of all, just to understand who I am and where I wanted to be. It all started, as a young person. I always wanted to kind of like know my why, and at some point you trust that your teachers, your guide, your mentors, society will help you become. And I think I have a strong sense of trust in that if you trust the system is going to uh, allow you to be at your best. So I graduated out of a business school. I got to work in China, in the Middle East, and then I just realized that I wasn't happy. I was stressed. I wasn't really fully myself, and I was misunderstood because all I wanted to do and be is to bring more ideas. And I felt like in the corporate world, you don't necessarily have the space for you to really own and try, your drive, your ideas out. And I just felt at some point that it wasn't resonating with me at all. And how I felt that, I got depressed. I almost reached, burnout. And I just felt like, you don't have to, if this is not the answer, you need to just stop, ask yourself better questions, ask for help. And that's what I did. At that time, I used to live in the Middle East. I packed all my baggage. I came back to France, and I took a year to myself just to reflect on my journey, to understand who I really wanted to be and what I really wanted to do. And that's when I felt like the best I could be and the best I could do is just using my unique talents. And that's why I developed the zone of genius. I think we can all be contributing in our own way. And it's all about understanding how you could put this to serve either a business, either your own business, or either a purpose. And that's how I got started. I got certified, started to coach clients one-on-one here in France, and now I'm taking this to a more global approach. And I started my Instagram 3 months ago to be able to help even more people on a world scale.
Yes, it's wonderful. I love that we're all going global because I have had people on the podcast from all over and have conversations from different countries in the world. Of course, sometimes you have to work with the time zone. One time someone invited me to be on a summit and I had to get up at 3:30 in the morning so that I could be on it because they were in Australia. So it just, but it's so much fun to just have the access to do that and for people to be able to connect with people who can benefit them or they can have a great collaboration. So it's just
Absolutely.
so wonderful. And I'm so happy to have you on the podcast. And we met through a mutual friend, Geetha Krishnan, and I met her when she used to live in my city,
Oh,
and we met then. And now she's in India. So it's just the world seems to be getting smaller and smaller, which is a really wonderful thing.
absolutely. And especially when we, meet people like you and Geeta who wants to inspire people to live their best life and to really overcome challenges. I think that it goes beyond having living in a location or borders. It's really a universal message, and I'm really so grateful for being here. I'm so hope that my journey and my message will inspire some of your listeners,
Hmm.
if not all.
Yes. So when you were in that situation where you were in China and you just kind of knew you were going to probably fall apart if you didn't stop doing what you were doing? Was it just that you didn't feel the freedom to share your ideas? Was there other things involved? So you were living in another country for one thing. So was a part of that even like loneliness or not feeling like you were fitting there? Or what was the factors that caused you to actually make that? That's a huge jump to say, okay, I'm going to leave my job and I'm going to just take off for a whole year.
I do believe that when you want to get to the real inner, you need sometimes to go back home, regardless of where this home is. And I felt at that sense that some of the answers were left behind, I left them behind me. There was a quote that I like to always mention from a Nigerian writer. You travel to search and you come back home to find yourself there. And I think that that's really, if I were to tell my story in one sentence, that's exactly what happened to me. I think that at some point I tried so hard, and I think it would have also been the same if I stayed in France. And
Mhm.
regardless of, I think that when we have the opportunity even to be abroad, I think that you even experience things on a faster pace,
Mm.
right? Everything goes fast. You meet a lot of people. It's a great, like there is a great energy. You meet people from all over the world, but at the end of the day, it wasn't me. And I felt a sense of, I felt disconnected, but I couldn't put words in that. And I felt that the more I tried to force this, the more depressed I was. So it wasn't necessarily the job. I think it's really the fact that I needed to stop and look and connect to myself again. And I think that everybody can do it exactly where you are in your journey and where you are physically, to take the time to reflect. If it's 1 hour, one day, 1 week, one weekend, to go away, get a real look at your situation. What is it that is, if you go through a challenge or difficult situation, what is this difficult situation telling you?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. So you took that year off and you reflected and you found this new calling and you seem very happy in this new calling. So when you're working with people, how do people get to you and how do they know that they would be a person that you would work with?
They usually, we do like a first session and we get to talk. It's more like I think it's a natural and organic process. I think that when someone is meant to work with you, they are just come into my life, and I come into their life as well.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, this is what I like. For now, it's very organic. I'm building, my English my English channel on Instagram, and for now it's really going well. And I really focus on the message and adding value, and let people resonate with that.
Yes. So where do we start with self-discovery and self-awareness?
To really breathe, take the time to look at yourself. I think we always seek for answers outside of ourselves.
Mhm.
So we are looking for quick fix, a solution, something that that is going to, we will get like a fast track system that will get you where you are. So a lot of people, I don't know, they go to the gym, or they might also be addictive to food. Like I know that I turned at some point to food for comfort.
Mhm.
In some cases, it can also be destructive if it's alcohol or drug. I think it's really important to highlight that you need to search for that within, to really start. Ask yourself, what is it you want to do,
Mhm.
where you want to be, and how you can go from point A to point B. It's very simple, it's very basic, but they are basic for a reason. And I think it's really important to listen to podcasts like yours, to read books, to surround yourself with positive people, to look up for success stories with people who might have also been through a tough journey, to get inspired and really understand that it starts with you. It starts with taking a decision that you want to change. It's very difficult sometimes to really own the fact that we actually lead our own life.
Mhm.
But when we take the time to really reflect and understand ourselves, how we feel, because if we feel an emotion, it's for a reason. Why is this emotion here? And how we want to use this emotion to create a better today and a better tomorrow and a better life.
Yeah. So you're talking a lot about really getting your mind in the right place. and listening to podcasts and things like that. And how important is it for us to surround ourselves with people who are like-minded?
One of the most important things you would ever do. And I'm speaking from experience here, because a lot of my friends, they did not really understand why I was, why is it that I wanted to change, because everything seemed to be well. They didn't understand why I wasn't feeling good, why I was depressed, because I had a good job, a very good salary, a very good life. And they felt like, why? Like most of the people, they want to be in your position. So I don't understand why you have to go back and start from square zero. I think it's really important to own that, and to look for these positive people, because if they are not in your immediate circle, which could be the case, you need to look for them, and that's why if you don't have these people right, one phone call away, you need to nurture yourself by reading positive book, by inspiring yourself with success stories, by listening to podcasts. And this is something also I've done and I keep doing now, because there is so much that you can learn, and your brain is also, you teaching your brain that this is what you want more out of life, rather than just like having negative messages when you turn your TV on or when you're on social media. You also, it's really important to know that you get to choose how you feed your own mind, and you reap what you sow. And this is something that we are sowing every day. So if we are not responsible also for just like what we eat and the actions we take every day, we are not in control here. And I'm all about empowering people from within, so they don't need to get, of course, support, but they know that they can own their own journey and they can write their own story.
Yes, I love that we can write our own story. And the nice thing about social media and the being able to get on the internet these days is, I know, years ago when I had plans, I had dreams, and I'm like, but I was only around the people in my community. And sometimes if you're not in the right place where other people who have the same mindset are, it's really easy to get dragged down day after day because you're just not normally in that same circle, especially if you're here and you're trying to get up here. It's really hard to get into that circle. But now it's like the world is open and people are open to helping each other, which is amazing. And there's access now. So if you really want access, you can get it.
We have no excuse.
Mhm.
No excuse. And I think it's a wonderful time to live, actually, in, because as you mentioned, we have no boundaries. With an internet connection, you could be talking to someone here from France or from Japan or from Latin America. You can find your own people who resonate with you. And I think it's really important to be connected, and to take every opportunity to create a support system.
Mhm. Yes. I've also found that a lot of people who have gotten to that level where you want to be, they're very willing to share. They're very willing to share. And so, one of the most important things I think is to just ask. You have to be willing and have the courage to ask for what you want.
It's funny you say that, because it is something I had to learn, because I was such like a self-made woman. I can do everything by myself. And to me, at some point, it was like, if I ask help, it means I'm weak. And it took me quite some time to understand that no, if I cannot be perfect in everything. I cannot do everything by myself. And it's such, if I want to, again, be in my zone of genius, I need to understand that this is my zone of genius and this is the zone I'm not that, good at. And then uh, cooperate or ask for help with people with who can actually be a good match, and help each other this way. I think it's really important, and I would like to thank you for also putting this as a tip, because I think it's also key. Uh, if you want to also grow, you need to understand that people can help. You need to ask for it, and understand that it's okay. Because I know that a lot of my clients, for example, they are very perfectionist.
Hmm.
They are perfectionists, and it takes courage and a lot of effort sometimes to just like lean back and understand that you cannot be everything to everybody, and just like understand that not being perfect is perhaps the most wonderful thing that you will ever realize. And I learned it the hard way, and now I get to actually enjoy things I'm not good at. I'm like, okay, I'm just not good at and I think that picture perfect is not what is going to resonate with people. It's because you have flaws that people connect with you. Just like I have flaws, so people will connect with me. They're not looking for a perfect coach. I think they want a coach that understand that they have challenges because he or she has been through a lot of things as well.
Hmm. Yeah, and as you're talking about that, um, I know my personality is that I love connecting with people and doing all these things, but don't ask me to do anything detail oriented or the technical stuff. I've learned it, but I prefer not to do it. And also about being perfectionist. Of course, everybody wants everything to look perfect and have this beautiful presentation. And I've learned that I have to choose the things that I'm going to make perfect.
Mm,
So I have to choose things I'm going to do perfectly. Because if I try to do all of them perfectly, first of all, there's not enough hours in the day because
correct.
it's a slower process when you're making everything perfect. And oh, there's a little spot there, a little spot there I missed. It takes a long time to do things perfectly, and then the amount of things that you can actually do is reduced. You might do them all perfectly, but you're not getting everything done.
Absolutely. And it's probably you never really put things out there because it's never perfect. And that's also one of the, you know, common traits with procrastinators. It took also a while for them to understand it's not about you not procrastinating. It's because you're trying to get things perfect and you sabotaging your own success here. Because as you mentioned, you can identify the things that you want to look perfect as possible, and just let go of the things that with a certain level of satisfaction but not as high as the other areas, and just go for it and launch it and then perfect it as you go. I think that what makes perfect is really implementing and doing and learning and doing and redoing. I think it's we don't reinvent the wheel here, but it's true that it takes practice, and it's not easy for everyone.
That's true. That's true. And I was thinking about when I started this podcast, it's been almost a year and a half now. And, I've been criticized because I don't have this beautiful presentation. I don't have this intro and this outro and this subscribe here and this and that and the things that make it look professional, if you will. And but I knew my goal was to get 100 podcasts out in a year, and I got it done in less than a year. The idea was,
Wow.
what's the most important thing? The most important thing is getting the content out to people so they can be inspired, so they can heal, so there's a result. So it might not have the most beautiful presentation, but the word is getting out, and I had to let that go. And it was difficult for me as someone who wants to be perfect and wants to have that look, if you will.
And I'm sure that you've learned so much, and that you also taking your podcast to a higher stage every time you do an episode. I'm sure of that. And I think that that's how you get successful. It's really about taking that first step and all about implementing. So it's not just in your head, it's living in the outer world. And that's also something very important, because I also tend at some point, I'm a thinker, so I love visualizing and imagining. I'm like, okay, it's here now, what's next? It's not just about imagining, it's really about taking that first step, and then let people resonate with you, learn from that, and then add on, add on, add on, add on. And that's how you build success. I don't think that you do your first thing and then you're on top. I think when you look at success stories, we realize that there was so much done there in terms of steps taken, and also in terms of lessons. And it perhaps at some point it was like they become well known overnight, but it took so many steps before that thing to happen that you need to be ready to succeed, and you won't be ready to succeed unless you're ready to learn and learn from your mistakes and fail and be okay with that.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah, there's so many overnight successes, as they call them, and you look at their history, and it wasn't overnight. It took them 10 years to get that. Other people look around and think they just all of a sudden were on the scene, but they weren't. They were in the background doing things, and nobody knew them. Nobody knew of them. Nobody knew their work, but all of a sudden they're famous. But they didn't just someone didn't just discover them or whatever. They actually put the work in, and I think that's important, that yeah, we do have to put the work in, and we're not going to be perfect at first, and we're going to have to take those steps, make mistakes, but you just get better and better every time that you do something. And it's
Absolutely.
okay even to what you might call failing, but it's not really failing. It's just stepping forward. As long as you're just stepping forward all the time, then you'll get there.
Yeah.
So, um, and then when you're working with people, how do you help them get to that place where they can look at themselves, really look at themselves honestly? Because so many times we've been telling our self things for so many years that we don't even know who we are anymore.
As I mentioned, it's really about having a real look. But what I mean, a real look, not a surface level look. And I was given an exercise long time back, before I even start coaching, like, the SWOT exercise, like uh, the strength, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threat. And you do this on yourself, and you self-assess yourself, like what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are the opportunities you have now, what is threatening, like if you keep doing or acting the way you do. It's really about taking the time, and it's a process, it's not a one session thing. And that's, I always take my clients through that on at during each and every session. So it's not just, of course, we go back to then something more practical, and I get them things, we agree on things, certain things to do and actions to be taken from one session to another. But I really integrate this into my coaching, because you can differentiate because I work with entrepreneurs, your business
Mhm.
from yourself, or your state of mind, your limiting beliefs, your fears, what's holding you back. It's really something that is going to emerge
Mhm.
from one session to another. And it's really important to take the time and to work with a coach, if you have if you can get into a program or a group coaching or mentoring or networking or workshop or a class. I think there is no small action you can take towards, like, getting to know yourself, if this is something you're really serious about. And because we can find something on our own, but we cannot necessarily step out of the picture to see what's really happening. So I think the first level would be to take the time to honor who you are, to understand who you are, where you want to go, how you want to go, who you want to become. And then if you want to take this a step further, you work with the coach, or you go to a class, or you do a test, or you do a workshop. It's really about, like, I see this as a foundation. You build a brick, and it's a lifelong journey. I think that we all discover ourselves every day a little bit more, but you won't know unless you again you try yourself. Like, for example, I used to label myself as the quiet person.
Mhm.
So I labeled myself like, I don't have anything special to say. I'm just the quiet girl. And I think I didn't allow myself to, tell my story, my truth, my way, my approach. And at some point, I just started this, and I felt like, oh, okay, I'm not just that quiet girl. I can be that person who's sharing. And now I'm sharing with you. I'm sharing on social media. I do also, like, public speaking. So it's all about, like, I want to be more of this, and then try this and see how it feels. I think that it's all about choosing as well who we want to be and what we want more out of it.
Mhm. Oh, I love that. I love that so much. And so now that you have the stage, what would you share with people?
That their voice matter, that we need to hear more of them, that they might be in their room or their living room and they think that they have this message that nobody cares about. And I'm here to tell you that it matters. And I'm sure, 100% sure, that we need more of quiet people who have something to share, to really voice their message. And this is going to change the world, not the loudest people, but the ones with the real message and with something authentic to share.
I love that. Thank you so much. And I grew up, I was very shy and I didn't really speak much either. And sometimes it's your purpose that propels you.
Mm.
So I would rather be in my home with my family, just doing peaceful things like working on my art or hanging out with my friends. But, you know, when we have something inside of us that we need to share, we have a mission that we are put here to do. If I did try and do that, I'd be so miserable. I think I'd be happy, but I'd be so miserable. And so, from within, and also, I'm a Christian, so I believe, God gives me the courage to come out and use my voice and connect with powerful people like you, where in the past I might not have been so willing to do that. But um, you have to find what the purpose is for your life. And when you find that purpose, you can't be quiet about it. You just can't. You
I
just
so agree.
have to
It's
shout it out.
I think at some point that your purpose always brings you back to the road that you're supposed to take. And I think that the more you resist it, the bigger the challenges in your life seem to appear. And I
Mhm.
think that at some point when I really hit rock bottom, it's because I was refusing that calling. I felt that this wasn't for me, because it's funny because I worked in the communication field. So it's like I helped, my company, phrase and craft a message and voice their opinion. But I somehow refused to see this in my own life. And I
Mhm.
refused that. And I felt that was like that urge for this voice to come out that forced me to take another road. And I feel now that I am more and more opening up and sharing and owning that, I feel that life is like also getting easier somehow, and I meet more people just like you today, who resonate with that and help me share this message and talk to even more people. I think it's wonderful. Like if you were to tell me this 10 years ago, I would have said no. I mean, I could help someone else do it, but I would have no, I wouldn't put myself in a picture. And it's funny because now I remember back then I was part of a women network, and they used to put like events together, and one of the heads, I would say, of the network is a coach. So she organized the conference, and at some point she sent me an email asking me to be the master of ceremony for her event. And I'm like, and at that time I was like, I've never done this,
Mhm.
and I felt like, is she crazy to ask me? Like, does she want her event to go wrong or
Oh
something?
no.
And, and then I remember like. Uh, I wanted to honor the vision that she had of me, but
Mhm.
I didn't know at that time that what she saw in me was real. It's because I was the one who did not allow it. I didn't see this
Mhm.
myself. And now looking back, I'm like, wait, yeah, of course. If you were to ask me today, I would be so happy, I would jump and everything. But back then I was like, why is she asking me this? I was not even recognizing that could be something I can excel at. And yeah, so it's funny how I think life always gives clues.
Mhm.
That's why I'm like, take a moment to look, breathe, and look at the signs. What are people telling you about yourself?
Mhm.
Perhaps they ask you, when they come to talk to you, they ask you for help or a tip or assistance in how, what are they asking you? Like all this type of small clues put together gives you also a way to put the picture of what is your zone of genius and how you could even use that in your life and in your business or in your career.
Exactly. And I think it's important to point out too that um, when people believe in us, when we're not ready to believe in ourselves. So, and it's so important to just take that and run with it, because other people can see our potential a lot of times, the potential that we don't see. And it's just so wonderful when someone believes in us until we can believe in ourselves.
Absolutely. It's really, I think it makes a whole, all this put together makes sense. They might not make sense the moment you got the opportunity or this happening, but they will make sense at some point. You need to trust the process. And yeah, I think it's Steve Jobs who also had an I love quote. So
Mhm,
I will be sharing some. I like this one. He's like, you need to trust your intuition or your gut,
mhm.
because you will only understand why looking backwards.
Wow.
So you don't need to necessarily know why now. And I know for some people it might also, be difficult not to know where you're going, but you
Mhm,
need to trust the process to know that this is going to lead you where you need to be. And when you let go, of course, you need to make decisions and find a balance between making decisions and let go. Then you're able to just uh, be in the flow, welcome new opportunities,
mhm,
say yes to things that might be scary, say yes to things that might feel in not like you or not like your normal you.
mhm.
Go for it and just trust the process. And I think that this has definitely helped me to turn things around in my life.
Mhm. Yes, yes. So, have you ever had a time of an aha moment or a realization of something that you didn't think of before?
Definitely that one, like speaking. The other one would be definitely enjoying not being perfect, because now I kind of enjoy it. Like I really, I'm not perfect. I don't know. Like the fact not to know it, to own that is quite liberating as well.
Mhm,
And learn to say no. Also, that's also something I've learned, that I cannot be everything to everybody,
mhm,
and to also put yourself first. I think it's really important to know that when you put yourself first, you're also helping others. I think that that's one also of the biggest realization I had, because I'm always such like I like to help people, so it's really natural to me to help friends, family, strangers, everybody who needs something. I would go and kind of like take the rescue a goal role.
mhm,
And then I realized, like, I know I need to think of myself first. And it took me also quite a while to put this together and really step out of the picture and let others run their own life. Like I talk about, for example, my brothers, my sisters, like
mhm,
they because I'm the eldest, so perhaps I
mhm,
as the eldest, I kind of like to guide and facilitate things for them, so they don't have to go through the same challenges I did. And I felt like, no, you need to take care of yourself first, and then they will be able to learn and from you and be better and get inspired. And I have the sense that since I'm putting this into practice, it's actually helping others
mhm.
to also grow and get better and understand that they are also their priority, and they don't have to wait for someone else to come and mother them somehow.
Yeah, and a lot of times helping is just leading by example. In other words, living your life, taking care of yourself, getting the successes that were meant for you, and they see that success and they say, "Oh, I can do that too." Sometimes that's part of leading and helping.
This is so true, and I can see that a lot of them, they started their own business, and they are really having fun, enjoying the process, and I'm really proud of them. So I think that it's really really important, especially I'm talking for I'm not a mom yet, but for moms, I think it's really important to understand that your kids, they want you to be happy, and they want to see you glow. And that's how you help your children grow, and not just focusing on them all the time and forgetting about your own happiness. And they see you, uh, when they see you unhappy, it affects them. And it's somehow not allowing them to feel their life fully. And I think when they see your own happiness and your own growth is as important as your children growth and happiness, if you want to inspire them and make them happy.
Yes. So you mentioned before, if you don't have mentors around, at least read books or podcasts. Do you have any special books or podcasts or shows or things that you like to listen to or read that you can recommend to people?
I've read so many. I think the one that inspires you the most, but I love like
Hmm.
Tony Robbins, because he also shares like uh, practical exercise that you can do. Uh, Unleash the Power Within. I think it's one of the first books I read on personal development.
Hmm.
And anything related to your why. So Lisa Nichols, I'm a big fan of Lisa Nichols. She inspired me a lot. Bob Proctor.
Hmm.
Uh, it's really I've read so many that I don't have necessarily one. And I think the book that really impacted me was The Alchemist from Paulo Coelho.
Hmm.
It's a very easy read, but there are so many gems in that book, and I think it's somehow through the story it takes you inwards without you realizing it, and I think it's really well written, and I like to read it often whenever I'm looking for inspiration. I just open randomly and look at the hidden message there.
Hmm. Wonderful. Yeah, so that's a place for people to start. So I love all those authors too. So it's wonderful. So, just something personal, what gives you the most happiness and fulfillment in your life right now?
Good question. Being able to go out. I know it's a pandemic, but for example, here at some point we were confined, and now we have a curfew. So just being able to be in nature, that brings the most joy to me at this very moment, because I think that we lived in a very fast-paced life in the past. There will definitely be a before pandemic and after pandemic, and we're not there yet. But to understand how important it is to just go outside, connect with nature, and connect with people, I think it's really important.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
what brings me joy at this moment.
Okay. And do you have a morning practice? Is going out in nature part of a morning practice?
I don't have one right near in the neighborhood, but I would have loved to. I love to just, take my coffee and just take a moment to set the intention and write about my intention, gratitude as well. I think it's really important to start on a high note, so to really connect to your vision and set the intention for the day. Just take 2 minutes, 5 minutes to yourself,
Hmm.
and then start. But really, like, breathe again, take the time to breathe, to reflect, and go.
Hmm. Do you have any advice on how to stay in the beingness as opposed to the to-do list? Like, oh, I'm just doing my to-do list. Actually, being the person that you want to be, doing the things that person would do, as opposed to just checking off the list.
I would bring that future you now. That's what I do often as well. I'm like imagining her in the room, and like I would ask for advice to my what we call the higher self. And I
Hmm.
love to do that from time to time when I feel like I'm so like caught up in my own thoughts that I don't even know why I'm doing this. And I think it's really important to connect your action to your why, and not to just be about the action, but to really take the time to understand why and where it's leading, and how is this serving your purpose. Because it's not about actions, and that's also part of my coaching. It's not about how busy you are when you build your business or when you develop your business. It's really about taking that inspired actions that will bring the most results, so you're able to sustain that in the long run. So it's not just, okay, I'm doing as much as I can today, and tomorrow you're exhausted because you've done so much the day before that you don't even want to do anything today. I think it's really important that to connect again to your intention, to your why, to see from like a wiser perspective and bring your future you. And like if you were to ask the Assia's version,
Hmm.
who succeeded in all that, what would she say and what would she do? And then see how this resonates, and take an inspired action.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, I love that. So, if people wanted to work with you at this point, how do they connect with you? You want to just share with us your Instagram or website or any place they can connect?
They can connect with me on Instagram. My Instagram is the underscore inner underscore CEO. So at the inner CEO on Instagram, I'd be happy to welcome all of you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today and for your wisdom. And I've just so enjoyed getting to know you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here. I'm very grateful again, Kimberly, for this opportunity, and hope to see you in Paris soon.
Yes, I would love that. So I have one last question before we finish. What is your best advice on living an incredible, extraordinary life?
Dare to be more.
All right. I love it. We'll end with that. Thank you so much, Assia.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you again soon.